scoot in a little bit here. Usually I greet you from Houston, but today we're coming to you live from Georgia. I'm here with Bryson Hallbrook.
How's it going?
Good, good. Yeah, no, me and Bryson, we actually grew up together, surprisingly. So I thought it'd be fun to bring him on the podcast and talk a little bit about real estate, because you're doing real estate here in Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm doing it out in Houston. So I know there's some similarities, but also a lot of differences. So we're just going to get into it and kind of talk about how Bryson got to where he is and see where the conversation goes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I'm excited.
Most definitely.
All right. Well, tell me how you got started in real estate.
So I decided to get into real estate my senior year of high school. Dad got licensed in early 2021 and was licensed for about a year when I decided to pursue real estate. College was not my route that I wanted to go, and he told me that I didn't have to go to college, but I had to find something to do because I wasn't sitting at home all day.
Absolutely. Hey, I get that. No, I was the same way. So, like, when I graduated high school, I was dual enrolling at Truett McConnell University. And I was like, I'm not going to college because I don't know what I want to do. And I was like, I'll do it when I figure out what I want to do. And then 2021 came around and I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back to college. And then COVID hit. And I didn't go back to college. And then finally when we moved to Texas, I was like, okay, I'm going to get into real estate.
Sure.
And then I took my real estate classes through Champions out there, and that's when I got started.
Yeah.
So same thing. College was not my route.
Yeah,
It was not.
I was done with school and I didn't want student loan debt. So.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I know a lot of people, they'll like even go to college and go through all these classes, get in all this debt, and they're like, that's not even what I wanted to do.
Right.
So I was like, I don't have that much money in general. I don't think I want to get into that.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, how is real estate?
It's been good for me. So I've been licensed 2.5 years.
Okay.
Started out just as like a showing assistant kind of for Dad. Didn't really do much of my own production my first 6 months. And started 2023, started doing my own production. And I've closed 61 total transactions since then. So it's been blessed. It's definitely a roller coaster. That's what me and him were talking about. We were just in Miami for a conference, and so someone was like, yeah, I don't think I've sold a house under 6% interest. So it's not, those haven't been fun.
Yeah.
So the market, ever since I got started, has not been the smoothest, but it's definitely been enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel like y'all's market, I have a couple real estate friends here, I feel like y'all's market has been turning and burning recently, though.
It has. So the summer kind of took a little bit of a down in August, but then in September was a big month, and then October was right up there with it. Right when interest rates started to drop again, before they went back up, we had a lot of splurge and buyers.
Well, so my best friend, they're building a house down here in Georgia, and they got a 5.5 interest rate. And I was like, what?
Yep.
Who are you working with? Because that's crazy, because the lowest I'm seeing out in Houston is like 6.5.
Yeah, that's about where it is now, and unless you buy it down a good bit.
Yeah.
There was when they first dropped down to like right at 6. There was a lender around here that was doing 4.9.
Really?
4.99, but
Okay.
everybody's back up high 5s, low 6s.
Okay. And a lot of people, so I just wanted to point out, a lot of people I know don't know that you can buy down your interest
Right.
rate. And that was a conversation I had with a client the other day interest rates are so high, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, you can buy it down, and we can talk about that and try to get it to a bet. And they're like, what does that mean? And like just really talking to people and helping them understand, I feel like a lot of people don't know what real estate agents actually do.
Right.
Like, they think that we get the keys, we show you the house, oh so pretty, close, get paid, right? No, there's a lot more to it, and that's one of them, is helping people know, not only navigate contracts, but buy down interest rates and things like that. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, we saw a lot in 2023 of what the 2-1 buy downs, the temporary buy downs, paid by the seller. those helped a lot, especially, hoping that next year interest rates do come down. A lot of those people will refinance, and it's, kept their payment pretty low. I know a lot of lenders that I work with have not recommended permanent buy downs because of, again, anticipation of rates coming down.
Yeah.
They're more trying to guide people towards the temporary buy downs.
Okay. Good deal. Yeah. So, did you always work side by side with your dad then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked side by side with him, I think, since the day I was born.
Well, that's fair.
And
That's fair.
I think I've done just about everything he's done, with the exception of a few summers when I worked from home.
Okay. All right. Good deal.
We've kind of been side by side, the whole family, since I was born.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's your market area? What do you do down there?
So I'm licensed in Georgia and South Carolina.
Okay.
Goes far south as Commerce. Our main focus is Lake Hartwell.
Okay.
So the 3 counties, Franklin, Stevens, and Hart County in Georgia, and then Anderson and Oconee County in South Carolina.
Okay.
Those are the 3 counties we focus on. We'll expand that a little bit if we need to, but those are really where we market to and lead gen in.
Gotcha. So, how did you get? You said North Carolina or South Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. How did you get started up there?
It's just a reciprocal license. The reason I got it is, from my house it's 5 minutes to the state line.
Okay.
From where we're at here it's about 15.
Okay.
But from my house I can be out of my road in South Carolina in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it kind of only made sense because I end up with a lot of clients that start in Georgia and then we can't find anything here. Sometimes you can find stuff a little bit cheaper in South Carolina depending on the area. They also have a lot more inventory.
Okay.
So their supply and demand's a little bit different.
Okay. I was curious what the interest was, but it's just being close.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, it only made sense because I get a lot of lake buyers that don't care what side of the lake they're on. They're just moving here for the lake, so they don't have to worry about, they're retired, so they don't care about, job or anything like that. So that made the most sense. And then, like I said, I've had a few first-time home buyers that work on one side of the line or the other,
Okay.
and they just need to be within 30 minutes of that.
All right. Good deal. And so, your full career real estate, right?
Yep,
Do you do anything else?
So full-time real estate, and then I have a grading business that I run.
Yes.
That's grading and land management. Mainly just working for our personal development stuff.
Okay.
I've got a guy that works for me and runs the equipment most of the time. I go help out sometimes when I'm not doing anything else.
Oh yeah. Do you feel like you're always running in real estate, or do you feel like it gives you more flexibility to do the things you want to do?
It definitely gives me more flexibility. Learning to leverage, some showings, sometimes using a showing agent, having a transaction coordinator, stuff like that. Being able to leverage out kind of helps me give freedom to do what I want to do.
Yeah, 100%. There was something I was going to ask you. So, a lot of people feel like, I get questions all the time as a real estate agent. People ask me, so what's it like being a real estate agent? Like, how is that as your job?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that it's not just a job, it's actually a business that you're running.
Right.
So how did your mindset change when you started in real estate? Did you feel like it was like a job, or did you see more of that business side of building things and?
So when you first start out, it's kind of I call it self-employed because it's technically a job, but you run it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time when you start out, it doesn't make money unless you're there.
Yep.
And so I think that's what takes time to learn is how to delegate and leverage some of that so that it becomes more of an actual business where it still runs and operates when you're not there. But when you first start out, it definitely seems more like a job because, like I said, it doesn't make money unless you're there. So it's hard to take a lot. That's why the joke's always a lot of time real estate agents, they work on vacations and everything because, they got to make money somehow.
Absolutely. I had a teacher in real estate school because I went to the school in Texas. It was supposed to be like the best school in Texas or whatever. So I was like, let's do it. So we did. But I had a teacher and she's like, oh yeah, no, I work from the beach from June to August. and she's like, she'll take all of her stuff down there and she'll close contracts
Mhm.
from down in Florida somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, so there's definitely people who, once you get set up and you have that pipeline, I feel like it definitely gives you a little more flexibility to do the things that you want to do.
Right,
So.
yeah, most definitely. Learning how to, there's an agent that we were talking with in Miami, and he sells about 100 houses a year, but he never leaves his house.
What?
And he uses an app called Xiaomi,
Okay.
which is $40-$50. You pay somebody to open the door for your client, and then the client calls you and they'll get any questions. And so he uses that 100%.
That's
He uses that for
crazy.
the showing, inspection, final walkthrough. He said every now and then he'll go to the closing.
What? That's crazy. It's so fun to hear different real estate agents how they do things because there's so many different routes of real estate.
Mhm.
So that's interesting. I haven't even heard of that.
Yep. There's not that's just like you said. A good thing about real estate is there's not just one way to do it.
Absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
a lot of people that do it in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah. Are you guys just in residential or are you wanting to expand into commercial?
We'll stick to the residential and then development, like investor side of,
Okay.
of residential. Not looking to get into too big of commercial stuff.
Yeah.
More the investment side and then residential.
Do you have a lot of investors that you work with?
We don't have a large number. We have probably 2 or 3, I would say.
Okay. Well, that's still, I feel like that's a good number for investors.
Right. We've got some that that the right one came up would do it, but there's only so many around here that can come up.
I gotcha.
And so, but we've got, I'd say 2 or 3 that we work with
Okay.
on a regular basis.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I have a couple questions
Yeah.
that I want to ask you. I mean, I feel like I've already been asking questions,
No.
but I'm going to skip around. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
For one thing,
It can only be one thing. What do you want to be remembered for?
I would say helping young people achieve home ownership.
Okay.
That's kind of my goal is to help people realize that their first move does not have to be necessarily a rental. That they can, with the right steps, become a home buyer at a young age.
Absolutely.
I bought my first property at 18, and then one of the houses we sold was actually to they were 20, but he was the same grade. He graduated with me.
Okay.
So it was neat to see him buy one of those. But that's kind of my goal is to help as many young people buy houses.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel like, I just helped Jaden move into his apartment. We just, helped them move some stuff and went and saw their apartment and all that. And they're paying a good little chunk for
Right.
this 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment. I'm like, well, and then, but also we rent up in Houston, and it's like $17.50 for our 3 bedroom,
Yeah.
3 bath house. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. Let's
Yeah.
move because David has a house in Dawsonville,
Uh-huh.
and his mortgage is significantly lower than that.
Right.
And I feel like, even if we buy wherever we buy, in Houston or Georgia or whatever, it's just better. It's better for you in the long run.
Oh, 100%. I just closed a house lady, lived there 9 years, and she actually made about $20,000 to $30,000 in profit after paying her mortgage for 9 years.
Okay, yeah.
And so, I did the math on it with the proceeds she walked away from, and then took her monthly payment, times the amount of payments she made, and it was actually a positive gain
Okay.
after 9 years.
So how long in Georgia is capital gains taxes?
So, if it's your primary residence, if you stay at least 2 years,
Okay, it's 2 years.
you have to live in the house 2 of the last 5 years before you sell it.
Okay.
So you can still live in it for 2 years and then rent it out for 2.5, and as long as you sell it before the end of that
The 5
third
year.
year,
Okay.
and then you can claim primary residence capital gains, which is no capital gains up to $250,000, I believe.
Okay.
And so if you flipping it and you're selling it within the year, it's taxed just as personal income, I believe. And then anything over a year that's just an investment, I don't know the exact rate.
Okay.
Somewhere I think between 15 and 16%, I want to say,
Okay.
on long-term capital gains.
And so, like, if somebody has a rental and they've lived in it, it has to be before the 5 years. So what happens after?
Well, so I mean, it's not 5 years of buying; it's a rolling 5 years.
Okay.
So they take the date you sold it and go
Mhm.
back 5 years, and as long as you lived in it for 2 of those years,
Okay.
then it's still considered your primary residence.
That's interesting.
Yep.
So, but like his house, he bought it, lived in it for almost 3 years, and then we've been renting it out. So if he decided to sell it, but that 5 year mark is passed, he has to pay those capital
Well,
gain taxes.
how long's he been renting it for?
It's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, like I said, you take the date he wants to sell it and go back 5 years,
Mhm.
and then you just look at how many of those 5 years he lived in
That's
and how many were
interesting.
rented.
Huh.
Yeah, like mom and dad, when we moved from Habersham over to this way, they took their house and that's what they did. We lived in it for a while, and then they rented it for 3 years, and by the
Okay.
end of that 3rd year, they had to sell it.
Hmm.
They didn't have to pay capital gains.
That is interesting. Yeah, capital gains work a little bit different in Houston, but that's why it's interesting
Right.
to talk to the different people from
Mhm.
different states. Yeah, no, that's interesting to me. Let's see. All right, I think we should get into it about the elections.
Uh-huh.
So I have a lot of clients
Mhm.
that they keep telling me, they're like, I'm gonna hold off on selling or buying for the next 6 months,
Right.
4 to 6 months. And I'm like, why are you waiting 4 to 6 months? And they're like, well, we have the money and we're ready, but the elections are coming.
Right.
So what's your take on it? What do you think?
So we get that a lot, especially with the way we run our business. We prospect a lot, so cold calls or old leads that we're following up with, and I get that at least once a day. We're waiting for the election to see what happens. I don't necessarily think we're gonna see any drastic change in the real estate market itself, at least for a year, no
Mhm.
matter who wins. I mean, for the next year, I don't see it changing drastically, except for what's already anticipated with the Feds cutting their rates and mortgage rates adjusting from that. Unless the Feds cut their rate, but other job reports and Treasury reports come out and they're just terrible. But I don't think we're gonna see a big shift one way or another in the real estate market, up or down, no matter who wins, until at least a year. Because I mean, no matter who wins, they've got to get their policies set in and they've got to adapt. I mean, I just don't think, at least in Georgia and in this North Georgia area, that anything's really going to change for about a year.
And I know a lot of people, they express to me, they're like, well, we just don't know because of the uncertainty of who's going to win and whatever. And I try to tell them, and in my opinion, there's always going to be uncertainty.
Right.
No matter who wins.
Right.
Like, you have no idea what they're going to get up in there and
Right.
do. So, I just feel like a lot of people are holding back because they're not sure, between the two candidates, who's going to win and what's going to happen. But I agree with you. I would say about a year and a half out is when we'll start to see the changes of the policies and things like that. So.
That's what I mean. Especially when we take listings right now, we are seeing them sit a little bit longer because only people that are moving right now are people that have to move. Job changes, divorce, growing family, shrinking family is too much of a house. You have people moving in and out. So I mean, we're not seeing as many of those people that just want to move. It's more of the have tos. And I think, like I said, I don't think it's gonna be a drastic change. I think it's more of a mental block people have.
Yeah.
And some of them are just excuses not to buy or sell. They want to, but it's just kind of that excuse for why they don't want to, kind of thing. Like they want to, but something's telling them to hold back, and so they're using it as an excuse.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's holding on to those assets right now, and it's fair. It's a fair, you can do whatever you want as
Sure.
a home buyer or seller, but I think that the hesitation shouldn't be right now. I feel like now's actually a good time. There's a lot more on the market to look at and buy, so.
There is. I mean, looking at a statistic last week, and I mean we'll have I think the least amount of home sales in like 3 decades this year. It's like a super low year for nationwide home sales, which means there's a lot more stuff on the market. And that gives buyers chances to look, get incentives, negotiate better deals for them. So, I mean, like I agree with you there. It's definitely a good time to buy, especially if you want to take your time and not be rushed.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, builders. A lot of builders are putting out incentives right now. And, I've seen, I think it was just yesterday, I got an email from a builder that's in Houston, and they're offering all closing costs.
Yeah,
And
most of them are offering just about all closing costs, interest rate buy downs to the 4s. I mean, they're building new construction right now is definitely a good option, because those builders are handing out incentives left or right.
oh, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like a lot of builders, I don't know about here, but in Houston, they do work with real estate agents. So, if you're hesitant or if you need someone to help you negotiate and do all that, builders work with real estate agents.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, if you look at investors and builders, they are probably the most welcoming of real estate agents,
Oh, yeah.
because they have so much on their plate already. They understand the value of having somebody there to delegate some of that, sales side to, and then the negotiation process, and they're usually the last ones to even, especially after the settlement, to cut their
Oh, yeah.
their compensation offerings down. We have seen most of them still keep it where they were before,
Absolutely.
because they understand the value of it, and they understand the value of getting it out to other agents to bring buyers to them, because their sales reps can't do it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What time is it? Let's see. Oh, we're getting close. Why would you tell someone who's never used a real estate agent to use a real estate agent?
I would say not as much for what the media perceives us as just opening doors and filling out paperwork. Kind of like we talked to before, it's our knowledge of different ways to structure, whether, some people would say, well, I want to ask $20,000 off the price, and I tell them, well, what would you rather have $20,000 off the price or $20,000 in your pocket from, closing costs or a rate buy down? And even if because that $20,000 more in price is not going to be as significant of a difference as $20,000 in your pocket and rate buy down and closing costs and stuff like that, because you only keep whatever percentage you put down of that $20,000 versus getting a closing cost. So I structure a lot of my deals with that, as well as it's who the real estate agents work with. I had a large deal back in the spring. Had $50,000 earnest money tied up,
Okay.
and he lost his job halfway through.
Oh, man.
And we were after the financing contingency, but the lender was able to work around and strategize on how to get the deal done. So it all goes back to who you work with matters. I would definitely, if you're looking to hire a real estate agent, make sure you interview and sit down and discuss on what value they bring, and not just, can you show me houses?
Absolutely.
Because working with a real estate agent that has experience and knows their market can be huge. I've also seen real estate agents ruin deals for their clients because of inexperience.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people, like I had said earlier, they feel like we just turn keys and that's all we do, and that's not it. It's not all the big, what is that show? It's like
Selling Sunsets.
yes,
Like that,
everyone. So I work at a restaurant, and everybody's like, "Have you ever seen Selling Sunsets? You would love it." And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't," because that's exactly what I don't do.
Right.
Like, I don't just walk in, show you a house, and get a big check. That's
Right.
not all that I do. There's a lot more to it. Like, even there's a leasing client I had recently closed, and we spent about 2 months looking for a lease.
Right.
Just a lease. Like, we were running all over and looking for a place that fit his needs perfectly, and, coordinating appointments. And I was there when he signed his contract, and there when he toured his house, and all of that. Just, a good real estate agent, I feel like, is there to help you in any situation.
Most definitely.
And like any questions he had, we were there to talk about that too. It's just about interviewing, like you said, a real estate agent, make sure they have the knowledge and who they know, and if you could say one thing to the next business owner, because there's lots of different business owners that come on the podcast, what would your advice be to them?
To the next business owner, my advice, I would say, don't be afraid to take a risk, but don't get too leveraged out. You're never gonna get anywhere if you're not growing and taking risks to advance yourself. But don't stretch yourself too far thin where if you have a bad week or a bad month, you're not gonna be able to rebound.
Absolutely. That's good advice. Well, is there anything else that you want to throw out there, want to talk about?
Nah, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and discuss things and catch up.
Absolutely. I feel like it's been, I don't even know how long it's been since we've sat down and talked for a minute, because I was trying to think about it the other day, and then your mom sent that picture of all of us when we were tiny. All I can remember about like us all hanging out is like the homeschool groups, and then going to y'all's house to swim and hanging out and things like that. But man, I feel like it's probably been.
It's been over 10 years.
I was about to say.
It's been over 10 years.
We were both probably like kiddos.
Yep.
Kiddos, because I'll be 25 this month. So.
I'll be 21 in February, so it's definitely been. That's a 10, 12 years.
10 years.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's been a while.
And that's all about, and I feel like that's another thing about our industry is like having those connections all over is exactly what you want. And so my mom actually called me when I got into real estate and was like, did you know that Bryson Holbrook is doing real estate? And he's doing really well. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put him on my list of people I need to talk to, because I didn't know that your dad was doing it with you.
Yeah, no, he started a trash business. Well, so he was a builder back before 08. I don't know if you knew that. He was a investor builder. He had about 50-something rental houses, I believe.
Okay, I did not know all this.
Whenever 2008 hit, and that was his full-time gig. Was buying and selling houses on the investment side.
Okay.
And Mom had her license, and she got it in 95, 96, and then got pregnant with Alyssa, and then decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and didn't want to work. And so then when Alyssa got a little older, she started helping Dad with his stuff, but she never really used her license. And then 2008 hit, Dad got out of real estate and started a trash business, and sold that in 2017. Had another side business that kind of spun off of that paid pretty good residuals. That he brokers everything, he subs everything out, so it's kind of a management type business. And he sold cars for a year in 2020, and then hated it. And
car business is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Dad used to do it, and he loved it. He worked for Toyota.
Yeah, he sold cars for Chevy and hated the car sales industry. And then he was just at home one day and said, well, I'm either going to get my insurance license or my real estate license.
There you go.
And got both of them, and then kind of said, any, mini, money, mo, and picked one of them. So he's been going on 4 years. February will be 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And so he loves it.
And y'all are both with EXP?
Yes, ma'am. Do
you love EXP? I have people who love and hate it.
So EXP, I would say, is the main reason why I got into real estate.
Okay.
Dad was with 2 independent brokerages before. There's local one-office brokerages. One of them was just a broker.
Okay.
No agents. And he was on a 75-25 split there, uncapped. And he was doing well for his first 6 months, and then he got introduced to EXP and had the cap, and he strictly moved for the fact that he could keep more money.
Okay.
But then when he started telling me about the stocks and revenue share and all that, is when it sparked my interest of growing a business with multiple streams versus just real estate sales. And I like traveling and meeting people from all over the country. Most of our organization is from Phoenix, so we get to go to Phoenix about once a year, see them at events and stuff like that. So just the collaboration of a large company is what I've enjoyed. But like I said, I really didn't even consider real estate until he joined EXP, and I kind of saw the whole model.
Okay.
to it.
Okay, yeah. So I have agents that like they love it or they hate it,
Mhm.
and it's like they love it because of all the freedom and it's big, and then other people are like, well, I just feel like I don't have the help that I need and things
Sure.
like that.
Sure.
So
It's definitely coming on as a solo agent. It definitely is not as hands-on as some companies, but when you join teams, is where you get a lot of help. And there's some great teams out there. Like I don't know if you've heard of the Franklin team.
Okay,
in
yeah.
Houston. They're with EXP.
yeah.
They're actually part of our organization, and we were with them last week in Miami. And so teams like that that's where you get your support from with EXP. EXP, they do offer a lot of training, but it's most of the time virtual,
Yeah.
and it's not as hands-on, just because we are a completely virtual company.
Good deal.
Yes,
It's good
ma'am.
to get to learn more about different brokerages.
most
I'm
definitely.
with Keller Williams,
Yep.
and I love it.
Mhm.
My brokerage has over 450 agents,
Mm-hmm.
and I have coaches. My broker's in-house, so if I ever have questions, I can go straight into her office and ask. No, but it's always good to know about different brokerages
Most
and
definitely.
see what fits best for you.
Sure.
Because EXP works for some people, Keller Williams works for some
Yep.
people, Remax works for some people. It just depends on what's best for you.
So it just depends on your personality and what you're looking for, and what they can offer to you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank
Most
you for
definitely.
coming on with me and, helping me do the podcast today. It's always nice to have new people and old friends back on. I would like to, I always do this, I'd like to invite you a year from now to come back
Okay.
and tell us where you're at and what you're doing.
Perfect.
If you want to do that, that's totally up to you. We can talk